What's up, traders? This is Vee Trades, and today I will be doing a technical analysis breakdown for strategy B with the ticker symbol MSTR. I will first be going over what I see in the daily chart and finish the video off with the weekly chart. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Please trade at your own risk. So let's take a look at strategy, how it ended up on Friday. You can see that was a nice pop-up after dipping down slightly. It looks like price is finding support right around the lows. It was a little bit overextended as well. So it was a little failed breakout below this prior low, and price tapped that 317 level, 320 level, and then we saw a nice rally up from there. So is this going to continue higher? Well, it looks like after hours on Friday, the market was down, probably due to that not getting included in the S&P 500, which was kind of favored to happen. That's why you see that buyers were stepping in before the Friday close, and they were expecting a gap up on Monday, and that can still occur if Bitcoin rallies pretty hard. But unless that happens, this looks like this is probably just a pullback for even lower prices. So overall, let's take a look at the macro structure first. So we need to base our analysis off the macro and micro. So the macro structure is basically a very large trading range. We've been going sideways basically since last year, November. So, I mean, that's pretty undebatable. You see that we went up and then down and then up and then slightly up, and now we're going down. So basically right back to where we started last year in November. So it's basically a trading range. However, in trading ranges, you have trends. So we have an uptrend and then you have a downtrend. So right now we are in a downtrend, and technically when we hit one side of a range, price will try to attempt to work to the opposite side, which is back down to the 235 level, which is right over here. So with this downtrend still in play, looks likely that we still continue lower. I don't really see it invalidating. Yes, this is like a slight double bottom, but we need to see follow through. You'd want to see aggressive buying, and then if you can get back above the 360 and hold it as support, then that's a very good sign. Or at least get back above the 360 level, because that will be tested as resistance. So this was the breakout zone. The 360 level, we're still below it, which is not a bullish sign. We're still below this downward sloping trend line. You can draw it a little bit more aggressive, but if I just keep it off the wick, that still fits pretty good. Below the EMA, we did reach the measure target, but we're not really seeing strong buying off of it. If we continue not seeing strong buying, most likely is going to continue rolling over, because there's not a lot of support on the left side of the chart that can stop price from falling. For example, when price fell over here back in August, there was some strong support here, and then buyers bought the dip, but then it was not able to overwhelm the selling pressure. So basically, we're in a macro trading range in a downtrend. Still looks bearish to me. And until we see invalidation of the downtrend, then you need to continue to expect lower prices. Invalidation would be strong buying, breaking the downward sloping trend line, and getting at least back above the 360 level. Until then, this is all bearish territory, meaning like, what does that mean? It means that if we see a pop up to 360, well, we can get rejected at that level and still trend down lower, because it's bearish territory. We're below the support level, below the breakout level. So that tells me that there's still a lot the bulls have to do to change my mind, to change my bias. I was bullish before, but I go with what I see in the chart, and the chart is telling me to be bearish or expect lower prices, and I'll continue to maintain that until the market makes me change my mind. Until then, this is still looking bearish to me. So with not getting in that S&P 500, looks like we might even see a gap down on Monday. Possibly even if Bitcoin continues to decline, it might even be a larger gap down, or we'll see what happens. But again, it doesn't have to be exact one for one. This is a little bit more overextended than Bitcoin, so we could see a little pop-up higher, maybe to the 350s if you're lucky, and then a rollover to the downside. I think a lot of people are just hoping for one last pop-up just to get out at break even, because they know it's going to probably drop down lower, or they really expect it to. So I don't think it's going to come up to 400s. I'd be surprised. I really would be surprised. How would that happen after getting rejected here with a strong sell-off and not really seeing strong buying? All of a sudden, we see strong buying. There wasn't strong buying here. Wasn't strong buying here. Now, all of a sudden, expect strong buying. I mean, it can happen, but I think it's unlikely. I think this looks still bearish to me. So all I have for MSTR on the daily chart. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin's macro structure is a wide channel. You can see that's kind of going in this wide channel formation. We hit the top side. Price will try to work its way to the bottom side, which is right around like the low 90s, probably by early to mid-October. So as of right now, it's still in a decline. It was close to resuming the uptrend not too long ago, but we did see a harsh rejection on the Friday candlestick close and pretty large tail bar. So it's starting to break this bullish trend line and continue working its way down. So Bitcoin, not really that bullish and not really that bearish for the past couple of weeks, but overall it's still below support of about 113,000. We did not see a strong break above it. We got rejected from it just a few days ago or yesterday. So this looks like it wants to continue to trend down lower. I mean, if it's a short trap, it's a short trap, and we can see a move up higher. But as right now, it's below that 113 level. I want to see a strong break above it. If not, we're probably going to reach the 105 level, which is the measure move target. And if we don't see strong buying off of there, the next logical level will be $90,000, 91,000. I'm still expecting new high. I don't think this is the all-time high for Bitcoin. That would be very, very underwhelming for Bitcoin. So I don't think it is, but it looks like a very similar pattern to what happened right here. We had a double top right at the top of the channel, and then price worked its way to the opposite side of the channel. We have a double top on this side of the channel. Now price is trying to work its way to the opposite side of the channel. You can even combine, clone the bars, and you can see the repeat pattern. Repeat patterns do exist in the market. Not exactly, but very similarly. So you can see that you can bring these bars over, something like this. We're kind of like consolidating where it consolidated before, right over here, before we saw the dump down, and then eventually came to the bottom side of the range. So overall, it's still kind of following the same prior structure, because if it happened before, it can happen again. Why does the market do that? Well, again, there's no like 100% certainty of why things happen in the market. But I guess a good theory about repeat patterns is that if someone got tricked before, there's a good chance they will get tricked again. So, for example, if someone was buying over here, there's a good chance they're buying over here, and then they're going to get tricked, and then you see that collapse down lower, and all the stops are run or ran. So again, if someone got tricked over here thinking we were going to go higher, well, there's a good chance it can happen over here again. And it looks like a similar pattern. Double top at the top side of the channel, works its way down. Double top at the top side of the channel, trying to work its way down. It can be invalidated. Again, in my invalidation for lower prices would be a strong break above 113. Okay, all of a sudden, for some reason in the world, someone stepped in, did not believe it should go any lower, and the market participants drove up the price. Until then, just expect it to continue down lower until we see a strong break above 113 for right now. So that's all I have for Bitcoin, and you already know what's going to happen to MSTR if Bitcoin goes down that much. Looking at Bitcoins against MSTR's ratio, looks like we're just seeing a pullback now. One leg up right here, second leg up. Basically a nice two-legged pullback for a potential second leg down. One leg down right here, two legs up. Mark the center of the pattern for a second leg down. Maybe come back to the 312 level, which means we might see a slight outperformance against Bitcoin with using MSTR, which would make sense because on the chart, it looks like it wants to bounce up higher, at least momentarily. And Bitcoin looks like it wants to be dropping lower. And then we'll see what happens here. That's if, it gets that low. We might just see, continuation higher. But overall, it's still an uptrend, making higher lows. Short term is still looking pretty good. This is just consolidation. And like anything else, you have to understand what type of trader you are. Are you a long-term trader? Then all this just would be noise. If you're going to hold for 5 years, 10 years, this all should just be noise to you. And most likely we're going to see new high. This is still my favorite company on the market. I think it'll be still the most valuable company in the world. And but again, things move in cycles, right? This trend has been going up for a long time now. Basically bottomed in June of 2022, and since then it's been moving up higher. So it's almost 3 years it's been going up. So things need to reset. It happens for everything, even gold, which is one of the largest markets. So that's all I have for Bitcoin MSTR on the daily and weekly charts. Oh, I didn't look at the weekly chart. Let's take a look at the weekly chart real quick for MSTR. And I think we saw a bounce this week because of this trend line. So you can see that we're right at this trend line. And this is probably the last thing left before it really drops down lower. You can see that you take this swing, connect to the bottom of this wick, and that's exactly where we closed and bounced off of on Friday, the weekly candle. So you take this swing to this swing, and that's right where we bounce. So traders are betting that this trend line is going to hold, and they're buying off of this level thinking we're going to see another leg up, something like that. But at the same time, there's a bearish trend in play. See, there's a downtrend in play. There's a short-term downtrend in play. That may be enough to override this bullish trend line and then trap the bulls for lower prices. And that's what I expect to happen. Because it looks like we're just in a big range pattern, and trying to play a trend in the range doesn't end well, right? Because the range is it might override that trend pattern. So we're not really trending up, even though yes, we're bouncing up the trend line, but overall it's just kind of a range pattern, and it looks like we're headed down to the lower side of the range. So I would say, if I was gonna be a buyer here, I would be very cautious of that downward trend. And if it sees a break of this trend line, I think a lot of traders will be out, and then they'll be expecting the 240 level from there. There's a lot of people who bought earlier. Like, imagine all the people who bought over here. What if they start getting out, right? This is going to have fuel to the fire, and they can come down quite a bit. That's typically what happens when the stock goes up a large amount. There's a lot of early investors and traders who start unloading their shares to the people who are buying over here. So a lot of people bought over here, or even over here, or even over here, and they're still in profit. Well, they're like, okay, let me just protect what I have because I don't want to come back to break even or at a loss. So they start getting out too once they start seeing invalidation of the bullish case. So as right now, it's up in the air. We could see a little bounce, but I think it's still in bearish territory regardless. Bearish territory until we see a strong breakout at 360, and we'll go from there. But overall, MSTR is still looking bearish. I need to see a strong break above 360, and this bullish trend line needs to hold. If not, it's pretty much game over. Most likely, we're going to see lower prices. Bitcoin looks like it's in a macro uptrend channel. We hit the top side, had a double top. Now it's trying to work its way down. As of right now, we haven't seen strong buying. Bitcoin ratio against MSTR, Bitcoin's price against MSTR's price. Looks like we might see a slight underperformance in Bitcoin against MSTR, but this should just recover because all this just looks like consolidation for higher prices. This is Vee Trades, and thank you for your time.